I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us today to learn about the Minnesota Freshwater Quest. My name is Tracy Larson and I'm the Education Program Manager for Wilderness Inquiry, and I'm joined by my colleague Shelby Swan, who is a Program Coordinator, and we work closely together on this program. So if you haven't already, please in the chat, if you could put your name, where you're from, and what you teach. And then I also would just like to let you know that there is the website up there for you if you wanted to start exploring the quest on your own. And then I also would like to thank all of the collaborative partners that helped make this quest come alive, and want to say thank you for the funding provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund. With that, we're going to head over to our agenda for the day. All right, so today we're going to spend about 25 minutes kind of in presentation mode, where I'm going to go over what the quest is, what the benefits for your classroom are going to be, what are the different ways that you can engage with the Minnesota Freshwater Quest. We'll get into some question and answer at the end. So if you do have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. But we'll probably get to most of those questions at the end. And then lastly is our goal here is to also have you register for a free educator account. And if you do that by the end of the day, we'll enter you into a raffle to win a free canoe-mobile experience for your classroom. With that, we'll move on. So I want to start off today with a welcome and a land acknowledgement. Wilderness Inquiry wants to acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homeland of the Dakota people. We honor with gratitude the people who have stewarded the land throughout generations and their ongoing contributions to this region. The Wilderness Inquiry Office resides on Dakota land ceded in the treaties of 1837 and 1851, and we recognize the ongoing injustices that have been committed against the Dakota Nation, and Wilderness Inquiry wishes to recognize those injustices by beginning with honest storytelling about this place. All right, so for those of you that are not very familiar with Wilderness Inquiry, we are an organization that started off in 1977, and really the idea was universal access to outdoor adventures. And so in an effort to really demonstrate that anyone can enjoy the wilderness on its own terms, our founder Greg, along with some colleagues and two people who used wheelchairs and two people who were deaf, brought them up to the Boundary Waters to prove that the Boundary Waters does not need to be paved in order to make it accessible to all. And that is what really opened up new possibilities for this organization. And that's what really drove our mission, which is that we connect people of all ages and backgrounds and abilities to each other and to the natural world through shared outdoor adventures. And one of the ways that we do that is through canoe-mobile program, and we'll get into that in the next slide. So Canoe-mobile is a floating classroom. It's been around since about the 2010s or so, and really it combines outdoor recreation with classroom learning. And the intention behind this is really to empower students to take an interest in caring about our natural world and the environment. And what's really great about Canoe-mobile is that it comes to you, it comes to your school or to your local waterway. And what we do is it's like this experiential field trip where we take students out on their local waterways in 24-foot Voyager canoes. So it fits about 10 people. And really we talk about science and culture and history and the importance of working together as a team to protect our waterways. And really this program since the 2010s has grown to serve over 30,000 youth each year. And we travel across Minnesota and the country to bring similar organizations to help bring or like introduce youth to environmental stewardship and outdoor recreation. And so the Minnesota Freshwater Quest is something that we've created that really enhances Wilderness Inquiry field trip, this canoe-mobile experience, by connecting classroom learning to real experience that students are having in their backyards and communities. So what is the Freshwater Quest? Well, before we get into that, I wanna run a poll here. And the question here is, what is your favorite water-dependent species in your local waterway? Well, the reason that I ask is because we're gonna circle back to this at the end, because really the Freshwater Quest is about water dependent species in local waterways. So the premise here for Freshwater Quest is it's an online platform that was developed by Captain Planet Foundation in partnership with Wilderness Inquiry. And the goal is really for students participating to become a hero of Minnesota freshwater ways. And the way that that is done is through these different stages of the quest. So they're going to be like questioning their environment, uncovering what's happening in the environment, exploring, and they're going to solve a problem, and then they're going to share out with others in the community. And the reason that that we created this experience is we found that teachers are teaching about threatened and endangered species or habitat loss, biodiversity loss, and these things can really be big, scary issues. And a lot of times students are like hearing about these things and they have this look of concern and they have this empathy that's being sparked. And sometimes teachers don't know what to do with that or how to guide students to actionable empowerment. And so what we did is we created this experience with STEM specialists, educators, staff members on both our team, Captain Planet Foundation, and bring together the best practices and using problem-based learning approaches to, at the end, really do some sort of a service project that will protect their waterways. So for example, for Q, we'll ask questions about what you can observe, wonder, and link to so you can help the Minnesota freshwaters. We'll uncover answers to questions about these fresh waters. We'll explore the species that inhabit Minnesota waterways and the threats that are really facing them right now. And then after that, this is where that spark of empathy comes in. We'll solve a local problem that is affecting the waterway where they live. And do a project, design and do a project to help. And then lastly, we just ask that students, take time to teach others about their project, what they've learned, and, share how others can help heal their own local freshwater. So we're gonna switch over to the website so I can kind of guide you through what all of that looks like. Oh, excuse me. All right, so when you go to the Freshwater Quest, you're gonna come to this homepage here. And first what you're gonna do is register for an educator account. And you'll just see that it's very quick and easy to fill out. It's a free account, and I'll show you a little bit about why you would wanna register for an educator account versus going through it without one, because you could also do this quest without registering for an account. But the benefit for educators, I'll give you a quick look at that. Oh. So you can see it now says my dashboard. And I'm just going to quickly go up there just to show you what that looks like. So you'll see that there are multiple quests here. And the reason that I'm showing you this is that you may be teaching multiple courses, or perhaps there are groups within your class that want to work on different types of projects that they don't all have the same interests. So you can create multiple quests for your groups or for your classes. And what this does is this kind of has like a tracking cookie so that wherever your class left off yesterday, it will pick right back up the next day on that. And again, managing multiple projects and that sort of thing. And then you'll also see information about grant funding that's available. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But let's go through the site itself. So if we go to call to action, this is what's going to start out the quest for you. And you'll see that these are the Planeteers. I don't know if any of you watched Captain Planet growing up. I know I did. I loved it. I wanted to be a hero. And so it was so exciting to see that they've continued this going on and have updated also the Planeteers. So you'll see that if you want to register for an educator account, they're just going to send you right back up to the top. But I just wanted to give you a sense of who the Planeteers are. And the idea here is that students are becoming a hero for their own waterways. So that's for the call to action, and it'll go through a story in the quest itself. But let's skip on to question. So at the water's edge, is what I like to point out about this is that I think of our program or this tool as a COVID-proof sort of experience. So for example, you could be teaching today in the classroom and you're having students observe some water outside of the classroom, or they're observing tap water, even doing water quality testing on tap water right in their classroom. And you could switch to distance learning and they could be observing a video, or again, they could observe outside near their own home. And so you're not having to stop the learning on this tool if a sudden change like that were to happen. All right, under Uncover, I'm going to head over to our water health. Oops. All right. And one of the things that you'll notice here is that you can do either watershed reports, on-site observations, and you can see that it even goes to Canoe Mobile, which is our program. And one of the reasons that that's there is because these are all citizen science opportunities that students can engage in. And Canoe Mobile, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in depth in a moment, but Canoe Mobile is really an extension of the classroom where at any stage throughout this quest, whether it's at the question stage or the teach stage, we can align Canoe Mobile and what we're doing on the water with your students with what you're doing in the quest. So you don't have to plug in at any certain point. And the Canoe Mobile part is an option. It's not a requirement of this, but it is what's really going to bring that learning to life. Under Explore, we're going to go under Species Research. And this is what really makes it hyperlocal and engaging for students and my favorite parts. So what I would love is for a zip code for one of you. And what we'll do is we'll put that zip code in here, and I'm going to show you how this tool works, where we bring it to the hyperlocal part of it. And here we go, chat. 56187, thank you. All right, so it's going to bring up all of the different species that we have loaded in here. This is connected to different sites that again, citizen science bringing in the data. So for example, I could say, all right, let's look at shorebirds and what kind of shorebirds might be under threat. And you'll see that this yellow, it's kind of hard to tell, but it says special concern, and then bald eagles are under pressure. And so from green, it goes all the way up to red for like very endangered. And so when you click on that, let's say common gallinule, it's going to give you a little bit of information on that species, and it gives students a chance to learn about it and decide, is this the specific species they'd like to focus on? And if not, we can just go right back to birds, or we can look at a different species. But if that is the species they want to do, then they will continue through the quest, learning more about that species. And you'll just see on this side, this just goes through all of the species that are listed in the species research, but really that's where you would start. And then let's move on to solve, and I'm going to go down to project ideas. So what's really great about this is that we provide ideas to your students about what they can design and do, and some of the partners that they can work with. And so we'll show them really like who the helpers are, because we're talking about these big scary issues. It's helpful to know that there are lots of organizations and helpers already out there working on these things that they can just plug into. And so, for example, if we go down to design and do, this is the other piece that only as a teacher you'll see, is the opportunity to submit a project. And that project then will get you up to $150 in grant money to fund that project that your students are doing. And the other thing that you'll also notice that comes with the educator account is this tan box on the bottom, where it's giving you educator notes, giving you ideas of how to teach it. In some of these parts of the quest, we're also giving actual resources, vocabulary to work on. Really giving you all the support to make this sort of plug and play experience for your class. And then lastly is teach. And I'm going to go down to, excuse me. extending your quest. So this is where I was talking about the becoming a citizen scientist. So you can see there's all of these different ways that students can already report the things that they're finding and becoming a part of that larger scale tracking. The other piece is if you go down to opportunities, you can see that we have listed all sorts of local partners that are already doing the work with youth, and you can click on any of these and go to their website and learn more about the work that's being done right in their own communities. So again, very hyper local here. And I will say a lot of this is focused on the Twin Cities, some of these organizations, but some of them also work more broadly with Greater Minnesota as well. So that is basically the quest. Another thing that you can do is report to headquarters, and what we mean by headquarters is Captain Planet Foundation. And what Captain Planet Foundation will do is also share that out. So the goal here really is to understand waterways, uncover what's going on, exploring what's happening to our species, come up with a project, and then share it out with the rest of the community. So we're going to move on to some of the benefits of this program that I've kind of talked about a little bit. Let me stop sharing. Thank you. All right, great. So the benefits of this program to your classroom is that it is very student-centered. As you can see, it's hands-on with the service learning projects, observing their own place-based, like place-based with observing their own community, their own waterways. It's very experiential. And what I love about this is that it is student-led. We're not asking you to go on to one specific project and problem. We're opening it up for to really tap into what students are interested in. And then it also helps peers connect to each other because they're working together to solve a complex problem. And a lot of times there's a lot of team building and camaraderie that comes from that. What's also great is that this is a very flexible program. As I said, that I think of this as a COVID-proof experience. You can do this at any time of the year. You could start tomorrow, you could start in summer school, or any time of the year that you'd like. And you can choose to just do one day of this. Maybe you're just doing the questioning part of it as a class, or maybe you're doing a whole full unit that lasts a month that's really wraps around this together. And then the flexibility is that the classroom chooses the service project, and we can also support that, but it doesn't have to be with Wilderness Inquiry. And then lastly is the teacher support, is that we do have grant money available to you for $150. It's also NGSS standards aligned, and it connects students to the outdoors. And we know that the research shows that connecting students to the outdoors improves learning, well-being, and social emotional skills. So really an added benefit there. And then we have 4 different ways of engaging with the quest. And so I think of this as this self-led quest is really the foundation of this, where you're guiding your own class through it. And then the virtual quest is the next level up, where we'll guide you through that. And I'll get into some more details in the next slides. Then you can really extend the learning in that canoe mobile experience. And lastly, the most intense of it all is a service learning project. So let's get into a little bit more of the detail around that. So as I said, the self-guided quest, which is what I just walked you through, is where you can just decide how much you want to do together in your own class with your students. Next, we have the virtual quest. And you can see here, this is one of our outdoor leaders guiding a classroom last year. And essentially, this is a Virtual Explorers Minnesota Freshwater Quest. It's a 2-part, 2-day series. It's about 1.5 hours each day, and where we as an organization will lead different activities with your class. We'll pause to really emphasize some key areas of that quest in the learning experience. And this is where explorers will be guided through learning about the pressures on their waterways. And the plan is that they leave the course with tools to design and implement a service learning project that makes a difference in their community. And you can see on the tables, there's these yellow and purple kits, and those have science experiments that we send to your classroom, art supplies, pencil pouch, snacks, and an activity booklet. And we do have upcoming dates in March, and I think Shelby just shared the link to register for that. So if you're interested in having us guide your class for 2 days, that would be a great opportunity. Next, we have our Canoe-mobile experience. And we do have an alignment throughout the whole quest to this experience. So we can support your classroom at any stage of the quest. So if you're just in the questioning stage, we can help guide students to look at the shoreline and start answering questions for themselves. What are they observing? If you're at the teach phase, maybe we're actually at the site where they did the service learning project, and we're looking at how has that affected the species? What changes are you seeing? What would you do differently? And what would you keep doing? So it really extends that experience outside of the classroom. And we also do have some grant funding depending on different factors. So we try to make sure that funding is not a barrier to students being able to experience Canoe-mobile. And lastly, again, is the service learning project. And here you can see students are sowing wild rice with our organization. And this is really the whole point of this really is to build a service learning project that they're designing themselves. And this is really the most in-depth that you can go. Again, it does not have to be with Wilderness Inquiry, but we can support or we can connect you to one of those other partners that we have on the website that would be a good fit for your organization. So that is the quest. I guess our next steps really here is we would love for all of you to register for an educator account. And again, it'll put you in for a raffle for a free Canoe-mobile trip for your class. If you are interested in that virtual quest, go ahead and register for virtual programming. If you are interested in a Canoe-mobile trip for your class, you can reach out to me and we can discuss details and learn what your goals are for your class. And then lastly is sharing out, both you and us. So after this, I'll be sending a recording of this and some resources on Canoe-mobile. Make sure that you have the registration links for Freshwater Quest virtual programming in March. But also we would love for you to share it out with your colleagues about this free tool and opportunity for students in classrooms. Lastly is my information. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about any and all of what we talked about today. Thank you for your time today and what I imagine is a very busy school day. I will be in contact with all of you.